So what I have, I guess I should have said this before I started, but what I have here is a wheel that I've treated with a grinding abrasive. This is my chain for my 201. And first I gotta adjust this angle real quick, because I had it set for doing rakers. On the rakers I try to, or what I've started doing is running the rakers, you know, put as steep of an angle as possible with this wheel to try to keep them kind of sloped up. I feel that that would help protect the chain a little bit when you're cutting a little bit dirtier stuff. That's just my prediction. So we're gonna go to 30 degrees here. Let me get this calibrated in. Lift up the stop. This is just, I guess it's an Oregon Professional chain grinder. You see some of the grinding aid, you know. Now you notice that there's not a lot of sparks coming off here. I see a lot of people when they're doing a chain, I mean, there's way too many sparks coming off. The teeth are getting too hot. The nice thing about this grinding aid, grinding lubricant, whatever you would like to call it, is it does allow you to remove, it allows you to remove more material per pass, you know, without overheating the teeth. This actually is something that is used in the airplane industry when they're cutting aluminum. That was, I guess, what it was originally, this stuff was originally designed for. And I check each one, like, just to let myself know how I'm doing. I'm, you know, in here I'm looking at each tooth just to verify that I'm not getting them too hot. And with the freshly coated wheel, it's very, the likelihood of that is very low. The other thing, I guess, that's different about the way I'm doing it is this is a wheel that I would use for a standard 3/8 chain, and this is a 3/8 Pico chain. I feel that the smaller wheel that's for the quarter pitch chain doesn't work very well for this chain. The 3/8 wheel works better. I'm not really trying to remove a lot of material. This chain wasn't really that dull to begin with. I'm just touching it up. And kind of what you're looking for is full tooth contact. You want that top plate to be sharp. You want the side plate here to be sharp, because I mean that whole, you know, you kind of can imagine how a wood chip is formed. So you need kind of all the surfaces to be sharp. The benefit of using a chain grinder is that all your teeth will be the same. Now from side to side, I'm gonna check just to make sure. That's a good enough, I think, a good enough touch up. So now we're gonna run over to the other side here. And I may have to calibrate it a little bit because, you know, the distance that the wheel is from the cutter is a little bit different when you switch from side to side on this type of chain grinder. But you can see kind of, you can watch right here on the tooth, the contact. Come over and take a look. We're not getting the tooth too hot. That's good. And I mean, this is what I always do, is I push down, my middle finger kind of pushes down on this stop, and then my thumb is pushing against this, you know, this part here that clamps the rail here. That's just how I've always done it. Now that one there, I can see that that one is a little bit, the tooth is a little bit bigger, so I'm going to come back around and hit this side twice. You know, you don't want to risk getting your chain, your teeth too hot. Same thing with that one. And actually what I'll do is I'm going to back this side off just a little bit. And that'll kind of be my new starting point. I'll come back around to that spot right there. Losing daylight pretty quick now. It's unfortunately, I don't know if I'm even gonna be able to cut with this chain tonight. I can't wait for this chain to get more worn down so I can experiment with square grinding it. Currently this is like almost a new chain. It's only on like the second sharpening, and I mean there's just not enough room to get that bigger wheel. You know, this is not the wheel, but that bigger wheel in here, there's just not enough room yet from the raker to the tooth. So once there is, after a couple more sharpenings, I'm gonna square grind this chain because it is an RS chain, and then it should cut really good and fast. This is the chain that I run on the 201. Yes, I like to just look on each one just to see how I'm doing. That's just my preference. And I guess, like, if let's say you have an RS chain, if this corner isn't a perfect point, if you don't have it to a perfect point, it is not going to cut as fast as it would if the corner was perfect. But I mean, depending on what I'm trying to do, I like to get as much out of the chain, like the life out of the chain as possible. So here's kind of the benefit of holding the chain. I seen that this tooth was trying to move a little bit, so then I pressed even harder on this this clamp here to hold the chain tighter. The less movement you have in this tooth, the sharper the edge that you're gonna get. And if you're getting the chain too hot, that corner is going to be a little bit blue, and that's not good because you're taking the temper out of the tooth, and it'll dull much quicker. You can watch the spark kind of goes through the hole. I guess they call it the gullet of the tooth, but that's what you want. You want the entire, surface of that cutter to be touched up. You know, especially on a chain that you're just doing a little touch up on since it was off. Then once I see that I'm not really removing any material, this one needed a little bit, then I know I've made a full circle. On the bigger chains, I would mark them because it'd be harder to tell since the wheel is changing in size more. Some of the larger chains, you might not make it all the way around and without the size of your wheel changing. So we've got a, looks like we have a chain that is now good and sharp, so it should cut pretty fast. I don't like to cut with a slow chain, a dull chain. Where is my little gauge? What the hell? There it is. So you get your little, all I'm using it as the flat edge. And since it's a smaller saw, I'm really looking for, that's what a 404 is, like just the standard 3/8 depth gauge. I guess that's 30 thousandths. Is that what it says? Yeah, 30 thousandths. So technically, I could take the rakers down a little bit on it, but I'm not going to because this saw is not ported, and it's okay to have the rakers a little higher. On a top handle